Welcome! In this video I will take you on a motorcycle tour from the fjords of the west coast of Norway and up into the lesser known inland mountain passes and plateaus. The journey consists of riding along the fjords, twisting up and down ladder-like roads carved into the mountainsides, cruising on top of the mountain plateaus and into long valleys. I will explore some of the lesser traveled gravel roads and even have a go at some off-road riding. Day 1 starts out in Molde, heading towards Åndalsnes. Reaching Åndalsnes includes both a ferry ride as well as a tunnel under the fjord. From Åndalsnes it's a short ride to the spectacular mountain pass Trollstigen, which sets me on the route towards UNESCO World Heritage Site Geiranger. Last leg of day 1 brings me from Geiranger away from the fjords into Ottadalen and to Lom, where I will camp for the night. Heading out from Molde, the weather looks promising, although the forecast for the next few days is kind of sketchy, with bad weather coming in from the west. After filling up with gas and doing some minor adjustments on the bike, I am ready to really get going. I am already halfway to Åndalsnes, and with the sun shining and the asphalt dry and warm, the twisty roads invites to some sporty riding. Eager to get to Trollstigen, I blast past Åndalsnes and go straight for the climb. With just some stumbling blocks to save me from the vertical drop, this road is not exactly as confidence-inspiring as cruising along the fjord, but definitely not any less exciting. Getting to the top, I'm awarded with a magnificent view of the raw landscape. The waterfalls over the cliffs and the green valley below. It seems crazy to me that someone over 100 years ago would look at these hills and think that this seems like a reasonable place to build a road. In order to get to Geiranger, I have to cross Storfjorden by ferry. I ended up queuing for close to 1.5 hours due to heavy tourist traffic. As I wait, I can see the clouds thickening, and I just hope that I can reach Geiranger before the weather gets too heavy. The weather is still good as I approach Geiranger, and in order to get away from the traffic, I allow myself to explore some of the slower side roads. There generally are not many of them in this area, since wherever it is possible to build a road, that is where the main road is. But there are some hidden gems like this one, that allows for a more intimate experience with the landscape. Even on a partially clouded day, the view from Eagle's Corner down towards Geiranger is simply mesmerizing. The atmosphere at the edge is serene, even though the area is crowded with tourists. Next up, into the mountains. For motorcyclists, the plus side to all the camper vans is that the traffic tends to lump together behind the slow vehicles, especially in the steep hills. By overtaking these slower groups, you can find traffic-free pockets, allowing you to have the road all to yourself for a minute or two. I had intended to drive up to the viewpoint at Dalsnibba, one of the nearest mountain peaks to Geiranger, but I found the tall fee too steep. One of the most special aspects of the west coast of Norway is the short distance between the sea and the mountains. I used to take this for granted when I grew up here, but I've later come to understand how unique it is. The snow and ice is a reminder that I've ascended to an altitude well above 1,000 meters in a matter of minutes. It was getting later than I had planned, so I decided to get to Lom as quickly as I could in order to set up camp, get some food, and get a good night's sleep before day 2. And what a magnificent feast it was. The last leg of day 1 had brought me inland, away from the coast. The main objectives for day 2 are 2 mountain passes, the first of which, Slådalsvegen, takes me from Vågåmo in Otterdalen to Lesja, which is in the northernmost area of Gudbrandsdalen. I'm not staying in Gudbrandsdalen for long, as just 25 kilometers down the road lies Dovre, where I'll be heading into Grimsdalen, which is the second pass of the day. Grimsdalen will bring me close to Rondane Mountains, a set of very characteristic mountain peaks, 10 of which rises more than 2,000 meters above sea level. Dovre is located on the western side of Rondane, and my journey through Grimsdalen will take me to Attendalen, which stretches from the northern to the eastern side of the mountains. Following Attendalen, I will arrive at Attensjøen, where my family has a cabin, which is my destination for day 2. As a citizen of the 21st century, I need to keep my gadgets charged, which isn't necessarily super easy on the road. Some friendly guys at the local electronics store in Vågå helped me out with charging, which left me an hour to spare before heading towards Slådalsvegen. I spent this time exploring some of the gravel roads on the south side of Otterdalen. This gave me a chance to see the mountains I would be heading towards. Like the day before, I'm a bit concerned with the heavy clouds. It would take a lot to become a real problem, but for the enjoyment of the ride, I prefer not to ride in pouring cold rain. Getting off the asphalt, I take it easy on the mountain road. My main focus is to experience the rapidly changing landscape and vegetation, and avoid crashing with sheep. As I reach the mountain plateau, I can enjoy a panoramic view which is strikingly different to what I've seen so far on the trip. And in the north, I can also see Gudbrandsdal. Riding from Lesja to Dovre is mostly a transport stage for this trip. If the sun was out, I would probably slow down and enjoy the greenery a bit more, but my mind is already focused on Grimsdalen. Green fields fly by as I start the ascent up from the valley, and it's not long before I'm back on the mountain again. Only the most stubborn vegetation survives up here, resulting in an intriguing landscape that is deep green, almost brown, and at the same time has an element of unwelcoming harshness. As I'm gliding along the dusty grey road, I almost feel like I'm on a different planet. I'm a huge fan of The Lord of the Rings, both the book and the movies. And as I descend from the plateau into the valley, I cannot help but to think of Rohan. It's a shame I didn't bring any of my tobacco pipes for this trip. Gimli might have claimed that you should not trust an elf, but I know not to trust a sheep. The rainy weather caught up with me again, so after Grimsdalen, I took the most efficient route to my family cabin at Attensjøen. I arrive early in the afternoon and can enjoy a long evening in front of the fireplace, stealing some of my dad's whiskey and reading books. Starting out from Attensjøen, I backtrack the last leg of day 2, heading towards Folldal. My main objective for the day is to ride into Einundalen. Unlike Grimsdalen, this is an area I've never been before, and I'm very curious about what awaits me. I'll enter from southwest via Dalholen and exit to the southeast near Grimsby. After this final mountain exploration, I'll aim for Tynset in Østerdalen, and from there I'll head home to Trondheim via the main road. A destination that could have been reached from my starting point Molde in less than 4 hours if I wanted to be efficient, but that was definitely not the aim for this trip. Day 3 starts out with a bit of amateur off-roading, getting from the cabin and back on the road. I am quite pleased with my performance, but I guess the neighbors won't be too happy if I make a habit out of it. Heading back up Attendalen, I get a great view of Rondane. The silhouette of these mountains is iconic and probably captured best by Harald Solberg in his painting Vinternatt i Rondane. Riding towards Folldal provides a combination of swooping corners and long straights. I think the best aspect of riding in this landscape is the overview it grants for the rider, which means that you can take in your surroundings while still keeping a reasonable pace. I've always heard that when you enter unfamiliar territory while you're traveling, you should talk to the locals to figure out what's what. So this is me having conversation with a local sheep just as I'm about to enter Einundalen. I think they were offended by my dialect. It might be the sunshine, but this feels by far like the most welcoming of my gravel road explorations during this trip. And I am surprised to see that there is some traffic up here, even if this is basically a detour for anything other than specifically getting here. If it wasn't for the expected bad weather, I think I would have considered setting up camp here for a day or two, just to relax and enjoy the view. I am nearing the end of Einundalen, and although I still have more than 200 kilometers left to ride, this marks the end of the tour, since I have completed my mission of riding from the fjords to the mountains. I arrived safely back in Trondheim just before the forecasted heavy rain caught up with me. Norway is a great place to go motorcycle riding, even if there are some challenges with seasonality and weather conditions. The route I chose could easily be modified for any kind of bike or for shorter or longer riding distances, so give it a shot if you have the chance.